Okay, and we are live. ¿Qué tal, amigos? Stuart here from Spain Speaks. Thursday evening, 7:35 p.m. Back again here in the seat for another live stream to have a chat about what's gone on in the news here today. Also, some of the comments that have been left on videos recently. We'll go into the chat section to see what's happening there. Also, there might be some people that are not watching today because they won the Christmas lottery, El Gordo lottery here in Spain. Let's have a look at the results. Check your tickets. Spain's Christmas lottery, El Gordo. Number 5,490 is the winning number. Where did people win? The number 5,490 has won El Gordo with worth 4 million euros per series, 400,000 euros per tenth, in the extraordinary Christmas lottery draw held this Thursday at the Royal Theatre in Madrid. The number, which was drawn at 11:21 a.m., was sold in all the autonomous communities except Cantabria and La Rioja, and in the autonomous cities of Ceuta and Melilla. Galicia has been the most successful region, with 90 sets sold in A Coruña and Fonsagrada, Lugo, 45 in each. Also, 41 sets have been distributed in Moreda de Ayer in Asturias. So, the Christmas lottery here in Spain shared around the country except for Cantabria and La Rioja. Lots of people seen on the news today shaking champagne bottles and celebrating their wins. 400,000 euros if you were lucky enough to have a whole tenth of a ticket. Normally those tenths are split between different people sometimes, and people share in the prizes. The idea of this lottery is to share the money around, unlike, for example, Euro Millions, where normally one or two people win a lot of money. Here the money gets shared around the country. And you can see people all over Spain today, as I said, with champagne bottles being shaken up and exploding in joy around the country with that 400,000 euros, some of them in their pocket. So congratulations. It's been a busy day, not only because of the Christmas lottery, but also because the Senate here in Spain has approved the new sedition and embezzlement reforms, which, as we know, have been very controversial. On Thursday, the Senate approved the express reform of the Penal Code, which repeals the crime of sedition and reduces the crime of embezzlement, with public attention focused more focus on other fronts. For example, the Christmas lottery and the hangover from the unprecedented clash of the last few days between the government, the legislature, and the judiciary. During the debate, the PSOE has taken advantage of the spotlight on the Constitutional Court to tiptoe around the criminal reform, proof of the discomfort it arouses among socialists. The suppression of sedition and the reduction of embezzlement are risky measures, as Pedro Sanchez acknowledged a few days ago, although in his opinion they are necessary to resolve the territorial crisis in Catalonia generated by the process. So, as I said, controversial this change or reform to the law here in Spain, because basically it's been done a la carte for the Catalonian separatist politicians that went to jail a few years ago. They are very important for this current government to get their laws passed and things like that. So basically they bent over backwards and they do whatever this party wants, basically. And that's what's happened here today. Reduced penalties for embezzlement and also that crime of sedition, which has been reformed, according to Pedro Sanchez, more in line with other European countries. But basically what it means is that the people that went to jail for the illegal referendum a few years ago in Catalonia can now become politicians again. Basically, they can now stand to get seats in the Senate here in Spain. Oriol Junqueras is one of them. He's the main man there in Catalonia. And with this change, he'll be able to present himself in the Spanish elections next year. Next piece of news, this one here. The EU Justice condemns Spain for systematic failures by Madrid and Barcelona to comply with air pollution laws. Spain has failed to comply with the Air Quality Directive allowing values above the stipulated levels for 8 years in a row and failing to take the necessary remedial action. It must now take immediate action, but not pay a fine, at least for the time being. This is what the Court of Justice of the European Union has ruled after a long process in Luxembourg. The judges consider that it is clear that Spain did not take appropriate measures in good time, and that the limit values were systematically and continuously exceeded for at least 8 years, despite the obligation incumbent on Spain to take all appropriate and effective measures to ensure that the period during which those values were exceeded was as short as possible. So there we go, the European Union stepping in again, condemning Spain's biggest cities, Madrid and Barcelona, for failing to comply with air pollution laws. As we know, pollution in the big cities here in Spain, pretty bad. Madrid especially, can't talk about Barcelona, but Madrid, you can see this sort of black layer of smoke that sits over the city especially on winter days when a lot of people have their heating turned on, and it is a serious problem. Add to that all of the pollution from traffic and things like that. Madrid sometimes is a constant traffic jam, and that adds to that poor air quality. So the European Union stepping in again there. 8 years in a row, apparently, that these two cities failed to comply. So we'll see if they get a fine or not, but it is a warning for the cities to change their act when it comes to air quality, which is good to see. Now, next piece of news, this one here. Spain records highest number of foreigners since 2013. The government approved yesterday in the Council of Ministers the royal decree declaring official the population figures of the revision of the municipal register, the Padrón here in Spain, referring to the 1st of January 2021, according to which Spain has 47,435,597 inhabitants in accordance with the continuous register statistics published by the INE on the 21st of April. Thus, the number of inhabitants in the country grew in 2021 by 50,490 people, 0.1% more compared to 2020, thus recovering a large part of the population decline recorded in 2020, the first year of the pandemic, when it lost 65,688 registered inhabitants, reports EP. Of the total number of registered citizens, 41,923,039 are of Spanish nationality, 88.4%, and 5.5 million are foreigners, 11.6%, the highest figure since 2013. Now, I got curious when I saw this article to find out how many foreigners live, or how many foreign residents live in the city where I live here. So I went on to Google, put in a search, and this is what I came up with. The predominant foreign nationality in the city where I'm living here, is Romanian, with a total of 3,835 citizens, representing 46.6% of the immigrant population and 4.2% of the total, just over 90,000 people where I live. Behind them are citizens from Morocco, 966, Venezuela, 766, Colombia, 563, Italy, 500, China, 443, Peru, 256, Portugal, 196, Brazil, 167, and Cuba, 164. The population from the Transalpine country has increased considerably compared to December 2019, when 395 Italian citizens were counted in the town, 105 less than the current number. The list includes 111 different nationalities, with the presence of 13 stateless persons without recognized legal nationality, 82 citizens from the USA, 4 from Australia, 7 from Canada, 7 from Denmark, 7 from Denmark again for some reason here, 1 from Israel, 2 from Nepal, 8 from Norway, 2 from Togo, 3 from Uzbekistan, and 3 from South Africa. 4 people from Australia. So myself and 3 other Aussies living in this city of 90,000 people where I live. Yeah, amazing. Didn't put there the amount of people from the United Kingdom living there, or how many Irish people are living here, but there are a few around. Every time the English football team plays, I see people putting the English flag up on their houses. So there are a few around, but only 4 Aussies. So not many of us in this part of Madrid on the outskirts. So interesting statistics there. But as we saw in the first article here, the highest number of foreigners living here in Spain since 2013. So some interesting statistics there. Now the word of the day, sazonar, to season. This time of the year when we're cooking our Christmas dinners and lunches, very important to sazonar, to get some taste. Sazonar la verdura con sal y pimienta, añadir el vino y subir el fuego un poco hasta que se haya evaporado el vino. Season the vegetables with salt and pepper, add the wine and turn up the heat a little until the wine has evaporated. So remember to sazonar your meals this Christmas with a little bit of salt and pepper to get some flavor into our food. So it's another word that we can incorporate, if we haven't already, into our vocabulary, sazonar. Of course, with the th, sazonar. Now, comment. James, are they making public transit better and more convenient when they ask people of this? Now, this is related to the new low emission zones here in Spain, and people that drive old cars are going to be basically not able to enter a lot of cities here. There's another comment here also about the same topic. I was going to try and get it up now, but I can't. But public transport in big cities here in Spain is pretty good anyway. It's not like where I come from in Australia, where public transport in Perth at least is terrible. There's a train in Perth, there's buses, but they're not very regular. It seems to have got worse over the years. It wasn't too bad when I was a kid. You could get around by bus and train reasonably okay. But they seem to have cut back on public services like buses, at least in the neighbourhood that I grew up in. Whereas here, if you live in a city like Madrid, public transport's just passing by your front door every day. Buses just passing by. Metro station just around the corner. You can get all over the city on metro or by bus. Very good. Barcelona's probably similar, and big cities here in Spain. Smaller cities, not so. But I imagine that if they do bring in these low emissions areas, one of the ideas would be to increase the frequency of public transport in those areas so that people can get around, I would say. So we'll see. It's going to happen in 2023 when a lot of these cities introduce these ZBE or bajas emissions areas. So we'll see what happens next year. But I imagine that's part of the plan to increase public transport and also personal movement vehicles, as they call them here, these MVPs, I think, like bicycles or these stand-up scooters, which are becoming more and more popular. So I think that's the idea. We'll have a look at another comment here quickly from Barry. With regard to English language deficiency, Spain could start by discontinuing with all the dubbing of films and TV programs in all languages, not just English. Subtitles are not only easy to produce, but the audience can learn English and other languages faster. Yeah, this topic's been debated, Barry, a lot over the years, but when you develop an industry, which is what Spain has done, a film dubbing industry, and now it's in Catalan as well, it's in Basque, it's in different languages, not only Spanish. When you develop this industry, people start making a living from it. It's very difficult to get rid of it, and I think that's part of the problem here. If you cross the border into Portugal, all of the movies in foreign languages are in the original language with subtitles. So if you walk into a bar in Portugal, they'll often have the volume turned down, and people are just reading what's following. They're just following the movie by reading the subtitles. It doesn't happen here in Spain. So when you walk into a bar, the TV can often be louder than the conversations in the bar because people are listening to the audio of the movie as well. But I think that's part of the problem, Barry, is that the industry is so strong, the dubbing industry, and a lot of actors make money from it, that it's very difficult to go away. But nowadays with all of the digital platforms, you can watch the movie in the original language without any problems. It wasn't like that 15 or 20 years ago, but today with Netflix and HBO and all of these digital platforms, very easy to change the language, but people are stuck in their way, and people are stuck in their ways. And I was surprised. I had a conversation about a month ago with a teenager. He was in one of my English classes, and I said, do you watch Netflix movies in English? And he said, no, I watch them in Spanish. I said, why? He said, well, because it's more comfortable for me to watch a movie in Spanish. 100%, yeah, why not? It is your native language. But you are missing something, I think, when you watch a movie not in the original language. whether it's a Spanish movie and you watch it dubbed in English or a Korean or whatever, I think you're missing something. I think it's important, at least I find it important, to try to watch the movie in the original language, even if you don't understand it, and read the subtitles, because it's the way the movie was supposed to be watched, I think. Or at least that's my opinion. But a lot of people here in Spain would not agree with me. All right, good. Now another comment. Let's have a look at this one here. We saw that one before from Barry, so this one here. Malcolm, Stuart, the question of why so few Spaniards speak another language, that is, English. Perhaps they are of the mind. When in Spain speak Spanish, few Brits in the UK learn French, German, etc. On the same basis, how many Australians speak a second language, or Americans, Mexican, Latin? Just a thought. Yeah, thanks, Malcolm, for your input there. I think the reason why English is promoted in this country is to open up people's opportunities from a business point of view and to get a job, because a lot of international business goes on. And one of the big complaints that Spanish companies have had over the years is that they didn't have a workforce that was fluent enough in English to get international business done without having to go through a translator and things like that. And that's where the emphasis has been over the last 25, 30 years. A lot of companies trying to get their workers up to speed because they don't come through the education system with a high enough level. That's starting to change, in my opinion. The data that we saw yesterday says that that is not the case. But from what I see when I go into high schools here in Madrid, particularly, is that kids are, they're getting the first certificate B2 level when they're 15, 16. Some of them go on and get the advanced. A few go on and get proficiency, the ones that are really good with English. But the majority of kids here in Spain now are between that B1 and B2 level. I take Malcolm's point that in countries like Australia, people don't speak a second language, or people that don't come from a family whose parents are from another country, and probably in England as well, the United States. I mean, if your parents are from Mexico, you probably speak Spanish. If your parents are from Poland, you probably speak Polish, but the next generation loses the language. And that is true, yeah, because the international language of business, the international language even of, I think of computer coding and things like that, is English. So if you want to get these jobs, it's in a person's best interests to learn English. And that's why so much emphasis or so much focus has been put on trying to get the population second language skills in English, basically for that reason. Not to speak on a day-to-day basis, no, but to be able to do business. And you can see that, if you go to the coastal areas here in Spain, a lot of waiters do speak the language quite well because it's their job. And in businesses here, if you go into some of the big banks, you do find people that speak English very, very well because they have to do business internationally. A lot of the Spanish companies are international companies now. Banco Santander, in fact, the language, the corporate language is English. And they try to get as many people to speak English as good as possible, as perfectly as possible as they can in order to do business internationally. And that's the reason, to increase people's job chances, to make it easier for people to get a job. Now I'm going to cut the video short. Now, no live stream on Sunday for obvious reasons, considering that it is Christmas Day. Video tomorrow, video on Saturday, maybe a video on Monday, but no video on Sunday because of the Christmas Day holiday. Have a good one, as I said. Hasta luego, hasta entonces, adiós.